Welcome back, and this is Cadet Rob 1985, and I hope you enjoyed our videos, and glad to see you come back. Today's video is one that's been near and dear to my heart. I've been working on it for a while, and it's the Cadet in Cadet Rob 1985. I was both a U.S. Army JROTC and a U.S. Air Force JROTC and a U.S. Air Force ROTC cadet. So that's why the name Cadet Rob. And so I started off in Army ROTC, so it is the original ROTC, which came out of the NDCC program, which I'll be doing a video on at a later date. All right, so let's look into our JROTC, Junior ROTC rank insignia. And so it follows pretty much the same as the Senior Army ROT, or the Senior Army, you know, the Army insignia. The rank and structure is the same, with privates, private first class, corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, master sergeant, first sergeant, sergeant major, and command sergeant major. And it's set up on a battalion structure, with a high school usually having a company in every period, with a battalion command over that. But you see how the rockers are straight bars instead of rockers. So and then the slip-ons have very wide chevrons instead of the more small ones that you would see in an actual Army uniform. And then the cadet officer ranks, you're going to see these over and over again as we move through the services. The pips and diamonds. So the 1 pip for second lieutenant, 2 for first lieutenant, 3 for a captain, and then the 3 diamonds, 1 diamond for a major, 2 diamonds for a lieutenant colonel, and 3 diamonds for a colonel. Let's move on to the Air Force JROTC. Their insignia also mirrors the actual Air Force, in that you have your airmen, your airman first class, senior airman, your staff sergeant, technical sergeant, master sergeant, senior mess sergeant, chief master sergeant. So these are very similar, except they're not rounded. They're pointed, chevron-like at the bottom, and the diamond, the ball and star in the Air Force insignia has been replaced with the shield and torch in the middle of the insignia. So very similar. And then the cadet officers ranks are very unique and different from all of the other services. You'll see, so you have the same 3 ranks: second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, and colonel, but they're represented by a single chevron, a double, and a triple chevron, and then a thick single chevron, and then a 1 and 1, 1 thick and 1 thin, and then 1 thick and 2 thin chevrons. So let's move on to the Navy ROTC. Again, very similar in their enlisted insignia. So for their junior cadets, usually first and second year cadets are enlisted, and second and third and fourth year cadets are officers. But that's not that's not 100%. But in general. So then you have your your seaman recruit, your seaman apprentice, and your seaman, which very similar to the actual Navy ranks. And then the same with your petty officer, third, second, and first. Even has a crow on it. So very, very similar. And then your chief petty officer, senior chief, and master chief petty officer, all very similar, just like a stylized version just for Junior ROTC. And then your cadet officer ranks, you have basically 1 through 6 bars. An ensign being 1, and then a lieutenant junior grade has 2, a lieutenant has 3, lieutenant commander 4, commander 5, and a captain 6 bars. Back to Air Force, they're usually on a squadron basis with flights in every period of the day. and but they can be larger, like a group or a wing, depending on the size of the cadet corps. And then the Navy's also, I think, usually on a battalion system. And then another thing that they have on their uniform are these service stars. The Navy uniform, other than the rank and their ribbons, is very simple. But on their collar point, they have the JROTC insignia, and then 1, 2, or 3 stars or 0 stars, depending on how many years of successful completion of the course. So most second-year students have 1 star, most third-year students would have 2, and then most fourth-year students would have 3 stars. And then above their ribbons, they would wear a single service star if they were on the basic honor roll or AB honor roll or whatever they call it. And then 2 if they were on the principals or all A's honor roll. Every school can decide how they want to award those, depending on the kind of honor roll they have. All right, the Marine Corps ROTC. So the U.S. Army ROTC goes way back into the early 1900s. I believe it's 1916 when the National Defense Act, I think, of 1960 was created, the NDCC, the National Defense Cadet Corps, and then the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps. And it was only Army then. But then in the 50s, they brought out the Air Force ROTC and the Navy and the Marine Corps Junior ROTC. So they're a little younger. I really like the way that they did the enlisted insignia for the Marines with the little lamp of knowledge replacing the crossed lances. But other than that, they're very similar to the actual Marines insignia, and of course the same with the titles: private or first class, lance corporal, corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant, gunnery sergeant, first sergeant, and sergeant major. And then the cadet officer ranks are just like the Army's, right, with the 1, 2, 3 pips, 1, 2, 3 diamonds, and then the same thing with the Marines. They're probably the simplest cadet uniforms, very few adornments. They have ribbons, of course, and the ranks, but then they do have these marksmanship badges: marksman, sharpshooter, and expert. They all pretty much look the same, except for the word at the bottom is different, and obviously the requirements for earning them, goes up from marksman to expert. Okay, the newest ROTC. Most people don't even know the Coast Guard has a JROTC program. They don't have a senior ROTC program. You have to go to the Coast Guard Academy if you want to be an officer in the Coast Guard. But they have allowed 2 high schools to start a Coast Guard JROTC program. I think it goes back to the 80s. And this one is actually from only one of those 2 high schools, the Junior Leadership Program. And the other high school, I could not find any indication of how they awarded their rank or any insignia. So this is the one that I was able to find. And so they have a very simple insignia pattern in that, more like the academy itself. They have 4th class, 3rd class, 2nd class, and 1st class cadets, and they use the diamonds. But these are not a rank, it's just a showing of what class you're in, whether you're a freshman, a 4th class, or a senior, or 1st class. That's how many diamonds you wear. And then their cadet officers do have the 1 through 6 bars like the Navy, but they're not called ensign or lieutenant or captain or anything like that. They just show the position that you might hold. So 6 bars for battalion commander, and so they're obviously on a battalion system. 5 for the deputy battalion commander, and then 4 could be a company commander or a battalion guide. 3 would be the platoon commander or the company guide. 2 is the battalion staff or a platoon guide, and then 1 is a squad leader or an assistant squad leader. Okay, so just a little more about Army JROTC. They have quite a few decorations for their uniforms. They have the cadet cap, officer cap insignia that they can wear on the build cap, sometimes called a bus driver cap, right? The brown one with the black bill on it. And then they have the collar discs for the usually the first and second year. The enlisted cadets would wear the collar discs with the torch on it. This is similar to the various branch insignias in the Army. You'd see cross rifles for infantry and so on. The beret or cap insignia for the lower cadets, non-officer cadets. The academic wreath, which goes around a star if they have a honor star, and can also have a felt backing of different colors for different levels of academic achievement. Then you have the honor unit with distinction, which is a gold or yellow star, blue star for an honor unit, and a white star for a meritorious unit. And this comes after their annual inspection every year. Then they also have marksman awards for both air rifle and small bore rifle, and they come in marksman, sharpshooter, and expert for both of those. They have a distinguished cadet bar, and then on their service jackets they wear the JROTC lapel insignias, and then of course they wear the gray berets and then they have this black and with a gold outline, the flash, and then they also wear their rank insignia if they're a officer cadet, or if a junior cadet, like a first or second year cadet, a non-officer cadet would wear the cap insignia. All right, and then Air Force ROTC, Junior ROTC also has many badges. The cadet officer's cap insignia, which is the same thing for the bus driver style cap, right? The blue cap with a black bill, the round one. This is a defunct device. I couldn't find that they still use this, but we wore it when I was a cadet back in the 80s, and that was these cadet eagles, and we used to call them chickens. And this was for an airman basic, or when you were an officer cadet, you wore them on your lapels of your uniform. But of course, the uniform has changed since I was a cadet, so it's much different. Then you have your flight cap insignia, can also be worn on a beret, and then your officer flight cap insignia, and then the solo flight badge, the flight certificate badge, the model rocketry team badge. There's also supposed to be a ground crew badge, but I could not find an actual example of one, only a line drawing. So, and then the distinguished cadet bar, and the Kitty Hawk Air Society badge, and the awareness presentation team badge. That did not exist when I was a cadet, so I don't really know what the awareness presentation team even is. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you like, share, subscribe, pass this channel on to your friends, and let them know, because I need more subscribers. Thank you, and enjoy your day.